Hey, welcome everybody. This is the inaugural live broadcast of something new that I just picked out of the sky. It's the Geek and I interviews.
A grand
And
experiment.
tonight, special guest, my good friend of almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Can I say good friend? Am I allowed to say good friend?
Oh, for 100%. I would consider us good friends and old friends now.
Yeah, I can say that?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, good. My good friend of almost 10 years, Jeff Annison. I found special music.
I love it.
It's kind of late night-ish.
Yeah,
So-
it is. I got to say, I got to props on your whole opening. I love the little music and the logo and the whole thing. It was very cool.
Yeah, I got no life. So let's just start off. How you been?
Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. It is a extremely crazy time for Legion M right now. Just because there's a lot going on. Obviously, the biggest thing is the new movie release that's coming up, and those are always huge. But there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes too, including a new, I don't know if I'm legally allowed to talk about it. There are some things that there's just like weird arcane rules about talking about, like I don't know, things like a new offering or SEC related matters and that sort of thing. And so anyway, there's a lot going on right now. We've got a movie that's wrapping production right now. Actually, it's wrapped production and is in post-production, and just all the general mayhem and excitement of working at a startup company. So
Now, can you say which one is wrapping production?
yes, Fade to Black is I mean, it's done shooting, it's in editing effectively, and so yeah, it's just there's a lot. I mean, we're a small company. There's only 3 full-time employees at Legion M, and it's like,
Right.
it's like we're in a canoe, and it's like, okay, we gotta make a movie. Okay, oh hey, we gotta open up a new round. Oh wait, we gotta close the last round and get out all the round 9 rewards. And it's like, oh, and we gotta release a movie. And so it's just like it's constant and it's nonstop. But it's such an exciting time for Legion M. Everything that we're doing right now.
Yeah. Now, speaking of that, what, like I said, it's Legion M's almost 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Next year will be 10.
Mm-hmm.
So what is there that you wish you knew 10 years ago that you guys know now?
It's a great question. I don't know that I would characterize it as stuff that like I wish we knew now. I mean, I'm sure that if we went back, there are things that we probably would have played a little bit differently. But it's hard because the industry has changed pretty dramatically over the last, I mean, it's 9 years right now, right? We're about to come up on I think the founding date for Legion M is March 6th, if I remember correctly. And so this March will be the 9th full year that we've been in business. And Paul and I started it in, we founded the company in March of 2016, but we started it in kind of mid to late 2015 was when we started working on it. So, we're a little bit further along than everybody else, but I think that really it's when you zoom out and you look at the state of the industry, it has dramatically changed. And in fact, actually, I was doing some analysis the other day, and I went back and I looked at the stock of all of the major studios, to see like what would have happened if you had bought stock in Disney at the same time that Legion M was opening our first round. So that was in May of 2016. If you had bought stock in Disney and Netflix and all that sort of stuff. And it's really remarkable because if you had bought stock in Disney at that time, it would be up, I forgot what the number is. It's like maybe 20% over 10 years, or sorry, 9 years. If you had bought stock in Warner Brothers, you'd be down like 80%. Like literally the stock has lost. 80 is probably an exaggeration. I think 80 is closer to Paramount, what Paramount's done. But the point is, Lionsgate, Warner Brothers, Paramount are all down, and some of them way down. So over 8 years, they've lost a significant portion of their value. And Netflix, on the other hand, is up like 6x. So I think it really just shows you some of the shifts of the massive shifts. And some of these were things that were already coming, like the rise of streaming and the decline of the cable bundle. And that's why you see companies like Netflix that are going like this, and companies whose model is built on cable television, which is what powered the industry for 20, 30 years, going like this. But part of it is also, we had a global pandemic that dramatically shifted things and forced everybody to stay home, where the only thing you could do, was subscribe to Netflix. And so anyway, I guess the point of it all is I think there's a lot that we can kind of look and learn and see over the past 9 years. And I think it's like we should dig in and kind of talk about, that, but I don't see it as things like, oh my God, we were so dumb then. I mean, we were definitely naive in a lot of ways. And there's a lot of things that we've learned and a lot of knowledge that we've got about the industry. But if we were to go back and do it again, I don't know that there's a lot of oh my God, this was a tragic mistake that we made. Because it was a lot of testing and learning and experimenting. And it's something that when you're in a startup and when you're doing something that's novel and new, you just have to keep doing, because things are always changing around you and you always need to be testing and experimenting, because that's where you find the things that work and the things that, nobody's ever thought of before.
Now, going off of the, I don't think it's a tragic mistake type of thing. What I'm interested in is sort of the deals that were there and then for one reason or another disappeared.
Yeah, there's one that comes immediately to mind, which is Peanut Butter Falcon. I don't know if have you ever seen that movie or heard of it?
That's the Shia LaBeouf, right?
Yes.
That was
Great movie.
Awesome. Great movie, yeah.
Was nominated for an Oscar. We saw that movie and had an opportunity. So this was back in the very early days of Legion M, when we were making small investments in other people's movies and or attaching to other people's movies in some capacity. And that one, we saw it, we liked it. We wanted to move forward with it. And I don't know that there was a deal to be had there. It's like, it all kind of starts when they're like, hey, check out this movie, see what you think. And then if we like it, then we dig in and we, sometimes there's a deal that's there and sometimes there's not. But that one just happened to come along at the time. The release date was like the same weekend as Bad Samaritan. And we had already signed on to Bad Samaritan. And, it's like, again, I don't know that I'd play it differently, because Bad Samaritan was unequivocally a worse bet than Peanut Butter Falcon, because the movie did horrible in the box office. And whereas Peanut Butter Falcon outperformed everybody's expectations and then went on to get an Academy Award nomination. However, I would not trade the opportunity that we had to work that closely with Dean Devlin, because he's been one of the critical advisors, and the relationship that we have with him, I think, so much of that comes from the fact that, he saw firsthand all the things that we were doing for Bad Samaritan. And so it's, it's one of those things. You learn as much from your losses as you do from your wins if you're doing it right. And so I wish that we had Peanut Butter Falcon as part of our repertoire, but we had to choose. And if we went back, we'd probably have to make the same choice again.
Right. Yeah, because I remember Bad Sam coming out, and it was one of those where the meetups were fire. I mean, we had a great meetup in Austin.
Yeah,
And
there's nobody else in the theater.
Yeah. I mean, and that has to help.
No, it totally does help. And it's like, so what happened with that? And Dean is great because Dean he is one of those people that will openly talk about his failures, which I find very refreshing as an entrepreneur. And, that's a huge part of the entrepreneurial mindset is you recognize like you're going to fail. You're going to fail at so many things that you do. And learning to accept that and be okay with it and just figure out like, okay, well, that's life. Like I'm not always going to make the right choice. Nobody's ever going to make all the right choices. And so but he's spoken very openly about that film. The first film that he distributed himself. He managed to get it into 2,000 theaters, which was incredible and quite an accomplishment. But it ended up being in the second weekend after Avengers Infinity War. And we moved, and I say we because we were on the calls. It was all Dean's decision. At that point, Legion M, we were part of the release team. They have these conference calls. It was probably once a week, maybe more than that as you get closer. And this is very common when you're distributing a film where there's 40 people on the phone. Because you've got the theatrical booker, right? And, the 2 or 3 people that work with them. And then you've got the PR company and all the people that work with them. And you've got the people running social. And you've got the people running all the different marketing campaigns. And then you've got the people just responsible for logistics and the tech that are going to, update the website. And Legion M would be part of that because we were just, we were this outside vendor, this outside partner that was working with Dean. And we were running a lot of the Comic-Con activations and we did the meetups and those, you remember the little swag bags that we did for the meetups with
I still have mine.
That's awesome. I mean, that's like a deep cut collector's item now, probably for Legion M. But I still remember those pencils. We got those. I don't even remember why we got pencils. I think it was because we got those horsehead erasers, but the pencils with the fun little sayings on them, and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, so we'd be in these meetings with 20 to 40 people, and it's just you're just going around the table. Okay, this is what's going on. This is what's going on. And a huge topic is, when are you going to release the film? What's the release date? And the release date on that movie changed 5 times because of the fact that the way the world works is that the big movies come in and establish their release date, and then the medium-sized movies build in around them, and then all the little movies build in around them, and then when somebody moves, it's like everything just has to reassemble itself. And so that one ended up moving multiple times, but we ended up being in the second weekend of, at the time, the largest blockbuster, especially in the Comic-Con world, of all time. And it's since been eclipsed. I think it's still number 3, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a terrible timing. And, Dean will say himself, he some of the partners that he was working with on the marketing side just did not come through. He told us afterwards that, he felt that a huge component of the box office that generated came via Legion M and the all the activities that we were doing. And he felt like the kind of traditional marketing approaches that he had done, he felt like I just, threw a bunch of money down a well. So,
and that was the second feature, right?
It was technically, like, it was probably the second one that came out. Colossal was first, obviously.
So
And
let's go there.
okay.
That's what I was trying to figure out. I wanted to get bullet points. So if I mention a title, give me a bullet point or a short sentence of the reaction or what you feel is a good answer. So let's start with number one, Colossal.
It's my with the exception of maybe Zoe, and in some ways Shatner, my favorite Legion M movie. I love that movie. It's a undiscovered gem for a lot of people, and one of probably the most important movies in the history of Legion M. Like, if you're looking at us as a company.
Okay, we did Bad Sam. Mandy.
Mandy, I mean, it's a cult classic. It's a gift that keeps on giving in a lot of ways, but just very niche.
Do you have any? Is there any contact with what was
Spectrovision?
and Cosmatos? What's
Panos, Panos
Panos?
Cosmatos.
That's right. I knew it started
Yeah.
with a P.
So Spectrovision, that's Elijah Wood and Daniel Noah. They're still around. They're still producing movies. They had Rabbit Trap came out at Sundance this year with Dev Patel, and that's their most recent one. And so, yeah, we actually talk to them from time to time. And I personally am not in contact with Panos, but David is, and I know that we've reached out to him and had talk from time to time, and we've approached him with other projects, and I think that we just haven't found anything that kind of lines up. But yeah.
All right, so let's jump ahead a little bit, and we'll go to Arch Enemy.
Mm-hmm. Arch Enemy was that was a real lesson. Talk about things that we learned. That was a film that Legion M made two separate investments in. One of them was a very low risk investment that we completely recouped and got the money back, and then the other one was a more speculative one, which is still kind of out there. But I think that was where I learned one of really, I would say, one of the most impactful lessons about filmmaking that I've picked up so far. And that is, I mean, do you want me to stop there, or do you want to?
No, this is good. Keep going.
So that movie was really interesting because what happened was, it's a small movie. I forgot what the budget was, like maybe a couple $1 million. And so it's a relatively short shoot, like 3 weeks. And I think it was, if I remember correctly, I believe it was all shot in Los Angeles. And but what happened was, on the day that everybody reported to set for the first day of shooting, the lead actor, Hamster, had pneumonia. And it was this awful situation because he was a young guy. I don't remember how old he was at the time. 19, maybe, something like that. It might have even been 17. I mean, he was pretty young. And, this was a huge break for him to have one of the lead roles, if not the lead role, in a feature film. And so he was like, I'm going to do it, but his mom was with him, and his mom was like, nope, the doctor says you need to not do anything for a week. And so here is the director, Adam Egypt Mortimer, signing up on the first day, showing up on the first day, and his lead actor is, unable to participate for the first X number of days of shooting, which, again, if you have a 3-week shoot and you lose the first week, like, that's a third of your time. And so obviously the first thing you do is you try and reorder what you were going to shoot. And we were going to shoot like this, but because he's not available, let's move this one over here, move this one, and then we'll take this one and put it up here. And so all of the weeks and weeks and weeks of work that you do in pre-production to get everything lined up so that it runs smoothly during those 21 days, that's out the window. but that wasn't even enough. Like, he had to rewrite on the fly the movie and add some parts and take out some parts and change some things just because of the what he was dealing with. And so what it really illustrates is that as much as movie making is an art, so much of your success literally comes down to logistics, because you plan and you plan and you plan. And, if you've got a $2 million budget for a movie, you're going to spend, I don't know, $1 million. I'm just making up rough numbers here. A million and a half of it is going to be spent over the course of your shoot of that 3-week period. So you do all the planning in advance, and then you spend all the money in a very short amount of time. And so when shit happens during that time, which it does in life, you have to be able to react to that. And that's why life on the set is extremely high pressure, because while everybody is there, it's literally, there's like a little cash register that's going cha-ching, cha-ching.
It's going backwards.
And every minute it's like, okay, well, we just spent another $5,000, right? Cha-ching, we just spent another $5,000 because, you've paid for the locations, you've paid for the 100 people or, 20 people, whatever it is that are there, and, everything. So it really kind of opened my eyes to, when you see a movie where you're like, God, what was up with that? I would be, if it's a small independent film, especially, I would say more often than not, it's not a matter of like, oh, it was a bad idea or a bad script. A lot of times it's just, they ran out of time. They didn't get a chance to get the footage that they needed, right? Or something that was in the script didn't work because of some problem with one of the critical pieces, or they didn't get it or whatever. And so it's really challenging. And so anyway, to bring that back to Arch Enemy, it was we were proud of the movie and happy with it, and I think it was a good movie. And when what went on behind the scenes, it's even more remarkable that he was able to salvage something and get something that really worked.
Now I don't want to say, maybe the best way to say it is, the universe, I think ideas are like clouds, and sometimes it rains and certain people get wet with those ideas, and some people have an umbrella and the ideas just, because there was a film right after Arch Enemy came out with basically the same exact storyline.
Okay. What film are you referring to?
The Stallone movie, Samaritan.
Oh, I never saw it.
That's about an ex-superhero who a kid finds. I haven't watched it yet because I refuse to watch it.
Just out of the principle of the matter,
out of
solidarity with Bad Samaritan. That's hilarious.
Yeah, and Arch Enemy, but basically is, it was the same type of film.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of on set, what films have you been on set for?
I've been, I was on set for Arch Enemy, and I was not on set for Zoe, and I was not on set for Fade to Black either. I was on set for Shatner a lot, obviously. But it's like, it's like I've been to some of them, and in Legion M, kind of the division of labor that we've adopted over the past probably year or so is that Paul tends to be more focused on production. So he was deeply involved with the production of Zoe and Fade to Black. But whereas I tend to be focused more on the distribution aspects of the business, and also like the fundraising and the offerings.
Now, going with the Zoe, if we played the trailer, would you guys flag me and give me a copyright strike?
No, I mean, not intentionally. I don't, and it wouldn't be us. It would be Briarcliff. But I mean, you certainly, I would play it, and if it gets escalated, I would vouch for the fact that there's nothing. No one's gonna be upset about a trailer. Like that's an ad. Like you're saying, like, hey, are you gonna get me in trouble for showing your ad for free?
Yeah, yeah. So do you mind? Do you want to play the
Yeah.
trailer?
What was that? Yeah, absolutely. Play it.
Right. Let's see. Let me find it here. There it is.
If I were you, I would think very seriously about what living in the past is worth.
Can you promise me I won't get, messed up?
Taliban can't touch this.
If you ever catch me in some sort of dopey group therapy, you have permission to kill me.
So we're all here? Who wants to start?
My name is Merritt, deployed to Afghanistan in 2016.
Okay. Aren't we better than this? Woe is me, ouchie, my feelings. Let's get out of here.
Be quiet.
Merritt? Everything okay?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Grandpa, I've been dealing with some things.
That's what a soldier does. You suck it up.
First platoon said there's a sniper out there.
You think I'm scared?
Where are you going? Zoe!
You can't tell anyone.
Burl. Damn, what a name.
Don't say that.
What? I can joke about the dead. These are my people.
Hey.
I didn't think, have you ever played Buck Hunter?
No.
That's a new record. Well, damn.
I'm crazy enough to say I'm crazy enough to shed my blood for you.
You think I'm crazy? Your mother thinks I'm crazy. But as long as you're under my roof, paper goes in goddamn six.
I would think seriously about what living in the past is worth.
Why would you re-enlist?
The world is not my oyster.
You think the world is my oyster? I'm a black woman in America.
With a lake house.
It's my grandparents' lake house. It is.
Oh, shut up.
It's the power cut.
Woohoo!
Yeah. I saw it last year at South by. Has anything changed? Had there been a new edit or any?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I think it's the exact same cut. There's nothing that comes to mind that's changed.
because it was fantastic.
Yes. Well,
And-
we just saw it. I just saw it. What is tonight? 2 nights ago, on Monday night, there was a veteran screening in Hollywood at the Legion of Honor Theater, and so the movie hits. It's no longer 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which I think is inevitable. When do 100% of people agree on anything? But it's still. Everybody who sees it loves it. It's a great movie. It's just unequivocally.
Yeah, and that is what, Friday?
Yeah. Well, Thursday night, the first showings will be out on Thursday night.
Yeah, it's about 35 miles away from me, so I probably be trekking down there.
What is what theater is it at?
It's at the Cinemark in McKinney.
Okay. And have you checked that? Like when is the last time you checked?
Yesterday.
Okay, good. Yeah. There's a lot of theaters came on kind of over the last day or two, and some of them I know don't even have show times up yet, but I think it's about 700 and I think it's over 740. So it should be playing everywhere. I'm sorry that it's not closer, John. I tried to see if they could get it to you directly, but
Well, I know you do. I know you do that. But yeah, it's a great film. And is there anything that you can tell us from the veterans' reaction to it from Monday?
Well, I mean, it's those yeah, I mean, they loved it. Of course they loved it. It was actually amazing because the cast was there, everybody but Morgan and Gloria. So Natalie Morales and Sonequa Martin Green, Ed Harris, and Utkarsh and Bukhar were all there. And they were interviewed. The moderator of the Q&A was Bob Woodruff from the Bob Woodruff Foundation. And so it was and it was at it was at the Hollywood American Legion Hall. It was a really special night. A lot of the people, the veterans that appear in the movie were there, like all the people that you see in like that little group therapy session in the trailer, and the soldiers that you see on screen are all actual veterans. I think it's something like 95% of the people in this movie are actual veterans. It was really beautiful. And have you heard the story about Kyle and the Colonel that got him out of I forgot what it's called, but when he was scheduled to get out of the service the first time after he enlisted, there was a mandatory God, I don't remember the word. Maybe you know it, but basically he signed up. I think it was just before 9/11, and he served in the military, and he did his stint in 3 or 4 years. And just when he was going to get out, there was a mandatory, like, no, you can't leave. We're rescinding all those, and you have to stay in for another 4 years. Have you heard the story?
No.
It's absolutely amazing. And for you, because you're a former vet, correct?
I am not. 3 of my 4 children are in the military.
Or your children.
Yeah.
Okay.
My youngest just got out of the Marines a year and a half ago.
Okay. So yeah. So what happened was, I'll give a brief version of the story. There's actually a video. If you go on the Briarcliff site, the mydeadfriendzoe.com, where the tickets are there, you can actually see the full length video, or you can look it up on YouTube, or I can send you a link. It's about a 5-minute video where he tells the story. But he was about to get out of the Army, and they said, no, you got to stay in. And he got called into his colonel's office. And he was a little nervous because while he was there, I mean, he was in an infantry unit, and he had his camcorder with him, and he was taking all these little, making all these little movies, these little action videos, as he called them. And he was sharing them, putting them on VHS videotapes and sharing them with the other soldiers. And he thought he was going to get in trouble for that, because he wasn't supposed to be making movies as an infantryman. But the colonel said, no, I've seen your movies, and I think that they're excellent. And so I am making an exception for you, and only you, to get out of this, mandatory reenlistment. And I want you to go out there and find the best film school in the world and become a filmmaker and tell the soldier's story from a soldier's point of view. And that will be your contribution to, you paying us back for letting you out of this thing. And so, the story goes on from there, because he actually then ended up a couple of years later getting called back into the military. That's when he served in action. And that's where actually the story from My Dead Friend Zoe came from. But where I was getting to with that story was that the colonel that got him out of that first one was actually in the audience. He flew out to Los Angeles for the screening on Monday night. So it was a really special night. It was beautiful, and just a really, powerful evening. And so, we couldn't be more excited about the film and the prospects for it.
Yeah, it is. I didn't actually. You guys did the investment rounds in the films, right? In the film, right?
Yeah, this was the second one that we did like that.
Yeah, this is one that I missed, but I mean, to be able to be part of the Legion.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. So this movie is so critical for Legion M, and really, because like I said earlier, when we started off, we were just making small investments in other people's movies. Like, that's all that we had the money and ability to do. And I said Colossal was one of the most impactful movies in the history of Legion M, because we were so lucky to get in on that film. Like, at that stage when everybody's like, okay, wait, so let me get this straight. You're two people, just two guys with this idea. You guys have never produced movies. You've never worked in Hollywood before. And you've raised a grand total of $1 million and you have a legion of 3,000 people. Like, yeah, good luck with that. You know, you're going to have a lot of fun making fan films and, you know, that sort of stuff. And we were like, no, like this is a big idea and there's potential there. And so for us to be able to come out of the gate with a movie that has Anne Hathaway and Jason Sudeikis and Dan Stevens, a movie of that caliber, I think was so critical in showing people this is what Legion M is about. And, you know, our investment in it was small. It didn't matter whether we won or lost on it because of the fact that even if we'd won, it wasn't enough money to be significant or to care. It was a stepping stone that, you know, got us to the next project, and it became a calling card that, you know, fueled those next, you know, few projects. And then those projects fueled their next one. So if you step forward, and so again, like that was 9 years ago, and that's where we were. Like we were just trying to get a foot in the door any way that we could. And now you flash forward to today, and we're releasing a film that we own. Like we developed this movie, and you know, we raised all the money for this movie. About 2/3 of it came from fans that invested directly in the movie, and the other 1/3 came from professional investors, including Travis Kelce. And you know, but we financed it. We were the ones that hired Ed Harris and Morgan Freeman, and you know, and we own the copyright to this movie. It's a, you know, My Dead Friend Zoe or LLC is a wholly owned subsidiary of Legion M. So this is something that would not exist without Legion M, and it would not exist without you, John, because you and all the other people that invested in, you know, those early days and got us to step 2 to step 3 to step 4 is what allowed us to get to this stage. And so it's a, you know, like I said, it's an award-winning film. It's won films that's at I think it's, you know, 3 audience awards, including South by Southwest, and a grand jury prize, and, you know, it's 97% on Rotten Tomatoes, and is going into 750 theaters, and it's literally all because of us. And so it's such an important movie in that regard, and that's why I think we're so excited, is that if you look at Legion M through that lens and say, okay, well, it took them, you know, it's been 9 years. It's been a lot of time. I mean, let's be honest, but you know, like what we're doing now back then was like, oh, and so if we can continue that trajectory, you know, what are we going to be doing 3 years from now, 5 years from now, where we're going to be having the same conversation? And we're saying like, oh my God, My Dead Friend Zoe was so great because that was the stepping stone that allowed us to get to here and then get to here. You know, Paul and I say this all the time. We didn't found this company because we thought that 50,000 investors could make a huge splash in independent film. We founded this company because we think 1 million investors could become literally one of the most influential companies in Hollywood. And so, you know, we're just so excited about where we are. And what we're focused on is, okay, like how we have this whole time is, okay, how do we get from here to there? And also, you know, how can we accelerate it? You know, I think that we've gotten to a point now where we have checked some boxes, for lack of a better term. We've demonstrated some things that we believe set the stage for what we hope will be exponential growth. Mm-hmm. So that next conversation that we're having, where we're looking back at Zoe, isn't another 9 years from now, but maybe it's another 3 years or another 5 years or something like that.
Right. Now, to me, you know, you go and you see all these people who invest in companies, and they're like, you know, what do I get out of it, type of thing. And I think something like this, to me, it's the emotional ROI.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I just enjoy the fact that, you know, if I put up a post on the Facebook page, you know, people get a chuckle or whatever, and you know the Film Scout program. How's that going, by the way?
So the Film Scout program it's been on ice, to be honest, for about almost 2 years now, probably.
Okay, can I get a freeze on there? Because I enjoy the
You want to just
top.
lock it in right now.
I just want to lock it in. Yeah,
you're
I just
one of the highest of all time. No, so I think that it is about to thaw, and I think it's about to thaw in a big way because we are getting to a point as a company where distribution and is really achievable and something that we can do more of. And so the first movie that we had anything to do with from a distribution standpoint, no, actually, let me take that back. Over the course of Legion M's career, we've been involved with the release of, I don't know, it's over 15 movies at this point. And again, even with Colossal, we just made a tiny investment in that. And we didn't have a lot, like we weren't making money from the distribution directly. We were trying to help the prospects of our investment effectively. But we were involved with the release of that. And we were doing, back then, we were doing meetups and we were doing, social media. And we were trying to rally our legion of 3,000 people to go buy tickets and all that. And so anyway, since the early days, we've been involved with it, but we are now at the point where we can own and distribute films ourselves. And so Shatner, the documentary, that one was pivotal because like Zoe, so Shatner, Zoe, and Fade to Black, those are the first three of the next generation of Legion M movies. When we, those are the three movies that we own, collect, totally as a company. And Shatner also, because it was a documentary and it was small enough, we felt like, okay, yeah, like let's go ahead and try and distribute this ourselves. And we had a lot of success with some elements of that. We were other areas where we, fell flat on our face, frankly. And I don't know that it was because of the fact that we did anything like really, really wrong. I think a lot of it came from just the timing of, documentaries and the film industry and that sort of thing. It's like, we released it in a period that most people you talk to and they're like, oh my God, that was literally one of the worst periods in history for documentary films. And, we had just come off of a huge bubble during the pandemic, where documentaries became really valuable and gathered kind of a really strong position, I think, in the mainstream, which they hadn't had in some time. But then, it was a couple of years ago, Netflix had that first earnings call where they didn't report subscriber growth. And that was the really kind of the point at which the whole industry pivoted. And it went from this growth at all cost, we need to gather all this content and build libraries, to like, nope, we got plenty of content. That's perfectly fine. Thank you very much. And so, anyway, but yeah, I'm sorry. I went on a total tangent there. All that was to say that when it comes to distribution, the idea of using Film Scout to harness the power of the community to help us pick the films that, we're going to get involved with. And it used to be getting involved with meant like maybe we would, work with the distributor and partner with them in some capacity. But today, it could still be that we're more than happy to work with other distributors, but we're also at a point where it could be like, well, yeah, maybe we could pick it up. Like maybe we could, buy a film at a film festival and release it that way.
Now, are there folks out there that see the value in the Film Scout program? Like distributors or filmmakers?
Yeah, no, 100%. Like it's one of those things that when you explain it to people, they're like, wow, that is smart. That's really smart. And so it's something that's totally unique. And I think like we talk about at the end of the day, I think it's the right thing to do. Like it's the right way to structure something like this because the shareholders own the company. We work for them. And all things being, everything else aside, like who should choose the movies? Well, to the extent that you can, the shareholder should. And, but the other part of it is it's really smart because we think that collectively our shareholders are a lot smarter than Paul and I are. And the whole reason that we set up one of the founding ideas of that Film Scout program is the notion that some people that may live in, the rural Texas, are the ones that have their finger on the pulse of what people are looking for. And that, in another light, in Hollywood, at most studios, there's a very small number of people that make decisions. But, and maybe that's because they're good at it and making those decisions. And maybe it's just because they lucked into those positions or, because of the corporate bureaucracy and politics and all that sort of stuff. But we wanted to put it out there and be able to set it up so that we could identify the people that consistently are able to choose, to pick the hits effectively and use that as something that then helps drive our decision making forward.
And speaking of whoever that person may be in rural Texas, what do you guys think about the have you seen the Matthew McConaughey, Dennis Quaid, and Woody Harrelson push for filming in Texas?
I have not seen that, no, but we're really open to it, having produced a number of movies now and being involved with the production of a number more. Like, Nandor was filmed in the UK. Man in the White Van was filmed in Shreveport, Louisiana. My Dead Friend Zoe was filmed primarily in Portland, Oregon. Fade to Black was filmed in Los Angeles. We've been in a lot of different places for these films. And I think it all just comes down to where the locations are that match your film and looking at the incentives and all that sort of stuff.
Well, I don't think what they're trying to do is more location for filming. It's making Texas the new Hollywood.
Oh, interesting. No, I have not seen that. I have not seen that, but I think there's no shortage of places that want to turn themselves into the new Hollywood.
Yeah, it's called True to Texas, and it's kind of filmed like that series that they were on together.
Okay.
And Billy Bob is in it, and if need be, I'm sure that guy in rural Texas will head up the
our
the
True
Western,
to Texas office branch office of Legion.
Yeah, the branch office.
Fantastic.
So
excellent.
Well, we're coming up on our time. I want to thank you for taking the time and just chit chatting a little bit. Is there anything that you can say? I know you went in the beginning and said certain things you can't speak about, so we'll leave that there. But personally, what do you have coming up? Is there a vacation that I can stalk, or are you looking forward to Giants baseball?
You know what? I'm not much of a baseball fan. I mean, I love baseball. I just don't have.
All right. Well, that wraps the show for tonight.
Sorry about that. No, I mean, for me, gosh, John, it's all Legion M all the time. I mean, it's an all-consuming job. But like I said, I think that we are in an amazing position, and I think that in a lot of ways, I think that 2025 could be a make or break year for Legion M, just because of the fact that, like, there's no question on the make side. We've got our biggest chance ever, our biggest film ever. I think Zoe is it's the biggest cast. It's the most accessible, right? Like Mandy is great. And if you look at all the films that we've been involved with so far, like Mandy is actually arguably probably the biggest movie just because the most people know about it. But it's one of those you line up 90, you line up 100 people on the street and have them watch Mandy, and 95 of them are going to be like, oh my God, what was that? That was horrible. And, and then the other 5 or 10% are going to be like, oh my God, what was that? That was transcendent. And it's a, you know, but it which is fine. I mean, this is art. It's not, you know, like it's supposed to do that. And we're thankful for Mandy, but I'm even more thankful to have something that literally I can refer to anyone and say, watch this movie, right? This is what Legion M is about. And everybody in the world, you know, knows who Morgan Freeman is. And most people know who Ed Harris is. And again, like, I think when you're looking at Legion M, and like I said, trying to achieve exponential growth, like what can we do to tip? What's going to allow us to get from 50,000 to 1 million investors, you know, quicker, right? Because if it was the same rate, it's going to be like 100 years before we get to 1 million investors. And so, you know, our rate, if you look at it closely, is actually accelerating. But being able to have stuff like that you can tell people, and it's not like, you know, it's there, you can't argue with it.
Yeah. Well, again, I'm excited to see it again, and can't wait. We're going to bring up our closing show theme, which is coincidentally the same as the opening show theme. But Jeff, thank you very much for taking the time out of your busy schedule. I always enjoy talking to you guys, and last time it was right before Christmas, so hopefully it's a little bit quicker next time, and we get to see some new movies, and maybe we'll come on one night and we'll talk about movies that you've seen that have a little story about from childhood, and what got you going. We'll dig down deeper into the Annison brain.
Oh, well, good luck with that. You never know what you're going to find. But no, thank you, John. I thank you. I mean, we've always been so thankful for your support, and always love talking to you. So let's definitely make sure it's quicker than next time.
All right. Thanks, folks. Thanks for watching. This has been the Geek and I interviews, or I think that's what I called it. I don't remember. We'll figure it out in post.
Awesome.
Have a good night.
All right. Take care, John.
Thanks,
Onward
everybody.
and upward.